Maya Brooks. Today is October 25th, 2018. I am interviewing for the first time Mr. Will Price. This interview is taking place in room 574 in Jackson Library in Greensboro, North Carolina. This interview is sponsored by Dr. Ann Parsons' History 627 class. And so we're going to start the interview by just asking about you. So who is Will and where you grew up, your education, or anything else you wish to share?
All right, I'm Will Price. Grew up in Reedsville, North Carolina. I was born August 5th, 1955, so a little bit older than you are. And I went to school with, from the first grade to the sixth grade, Mall Street, and then I went to Reedsville Middle School, then graduated from Reedsville Senior High. I didn't do any, I didn't go to college. I just went to work. My family actually needed the money. I could have gone, and I also could have gone to Vietnam, but I didn't choose to do either one. I wouldn't mind going to college. I was supposed to have gone to Bell and Howell in Georgia, which is, what is it now, IT, the School of Electronics, what is it? I can't remember the name of it now, ITT.
Like Georgia Tech?
No, it wasn't Georgia Tech at the time. It was called Bill and Howell School of Electronics. And that wasn't my passion at the time. But I had to work to help the family, and so we could keep a roof and food over our head. I always had a passion for automobiles, and started at an early age. My uncles and father, they all had cars. And they had me working on it and helping, handing wrenches, and so it became a passion. I enjoyed working on cars and motorcycles. I like to go fast. When I was right out of high school, I managed to get my first car was a Camaro. And oddly, I own one now, but that was one of my favorite cars. I like the Corvettes, but I don't know, Camaro just seemed to fit me better. Shortly after that, 140 cars later, I have another Camaro, as I say. I've owned that many cars. So, I've had about 20 motorcycles. That was my biggest passion, once I learned how to ride a motorcycle. The first time I was scared to death. I mean, it was a frightening experience, but once I got off, got my bearings, I couldn't wait to get back on another, so I owned one. And I had a few spills. That last one wasn't, when I lost my leg, it wasn't my fault. I got hit from the blind side on I-40 and woke up a day and a half later in Moses Cone with my family and friends surrounding me. I probably missed a few spots in between there, but that's pretty much what happened. That kind of changed my life. That was when my life changed. Prior to that, I worked all the time. I kept a pretty decent job. I never was what you call well off or anything, but I managed to make it. I managed to keep my passion going, motorcycles and cars. I used to want a road race, but it was just a little too risky, and when I got good enough to do it, I was a little bit too old to do it. So it really wasn't a good idea, even though the money was much better when I got older. So I used to go to the racetracks for cars, motorcycles, anywhere there was an event. My friends and I would try to find it. In a nutshell, that's Will Price. I like the exotic cars, the fast cars, the sport cars, but I also like some of the luxury cars.
Very fun. And so what have you been doing? Like, I know that you say you're retired, so is that what you're still doing, is looking into cars and taking care of cars?
Well, yeah, that's kind of what keeps me exercised and motivated. I have a friend of mine, he's retired from the military, a couple of them. When I first lost my leg, I sat at home in a recliner. I'd lost probably 30 pounds, and I didn't know which direction to go, what my life was going to be. And they would come by and pick me up, and I didn't even have a prosthetic at the time. Mm-hmm. And one of my friends had a Corvette. He had had a stroke, and he would come and take my crutches and put them in the back of the car, help me in and make me drive. And we'd spend the day together, and we'd go out, eat, have fun. And then I have another friend, he's ex-military as well. He would come and take me out. Got where I got my strength up enough to go with him to the salvage yard. That's one way I could afford to keep the vehicles I had by going to the salvage yard using recycled parts. When you weren't working and didn't have funds, you had to get by the best way possible.
Mm-hmm. So I know that you mentioned your accident, and so can you explain which kind of amputation you have on your leg?
I have below the knee left amputation. My leg was crushed during the accident. They told me that I would have to have so many surgeries that it would probably be best just to amputate. I think I had my leg 2 days prior to the accident, and then after that, I wasn't even able to sign. I had to get my son to sign the forms to allow him to do it. I also had damage to my spine. I had nerve damage. It was like 3 of my vertebrae were in the neck. They were pressing on the nerve, and I started to lose control of holding things. And I tried to work out, and I couldn't even pick up 3 pounds. And so I went to see a neurologist, and that's when he told me that I had to have the surgery. It went well. It was a day surgery. And it was another frightening experience because I didn't know, whether I would be paralyzed or not after that. And I said I had prayed that everything went well, and it did. I've been progressively getting better. I still have bad days. Some days, the most difficult times are when it gets real cold all of a sudden. If I gradually work into it, I'm fine, but a real cold snap, it's pretty painful.
And so beyond the neurologist, were you able to get any other kind of like physical therapy or like mental therapy following your surgery?
Well, I went to Robin, once I had the surgery, the amputation. I went through all the rehab that I needed, and prior to getting a leg, then once I got a leg, she taught me how to walk and balance. And there were times, that was real scary. My biggest fear, even now, is falling, because it triggers more than just a fall now. I can re-injure my spine, not to mention hips. It seems to be a thing as you get older, hip injuries. I had a friend that not too long ago passed away. He was in his 80s, grant you, but he had fallen several times with no injuries, and the one time that he got an injury, he lasted probably maybe 3 months.
Oh, wow.
He was gone. So I don't know what it is about older people and fall. Not that I'm old, but once we get older, the injury, it takes a lot more to heal. That was a blessing of mine. I've always been a good healer. Any injuries I had, and that's why I thought if I could have kept my leg, that I may have, had a chance for it to heal, but they were more concerned with me having blood clots and dying in my sleep. Six one way, half dozen another. I just took the safest route. I do miss my leg. It's getting around, mobility is difficult, but I have the drive that I'm gonna always keep pushing.
Mm-hmm.
I never give up. But there were some times I was feeling sorry for myself. And that's the worst thing you can do. That's why I thank my friends and tell them how much I appreciate them. Even now, they still check on me daily. When I was in the hospital, they asked was a movie star in there, because I had so many friends coming, just daily. And I was grateful that that helped a lot. I think back and wonder, had I just made a turn or stopped or went home, because actually my son called me that night from work. It was May 28th, 2016. He called me and asked me what I was doing. I said, well, they asked me to volunteer, and I worked. It was a Saturday, Memorial Day weekend. And I told him that I was going to work. He said, well, when you get off, call me, because we're going to crank the grill up. He said he wanted to talk to me about something. So I called him when I got off, and I was on the way to his house and never made it. That's when he knew that I've always been punctual. I try to be early and not late. And he knew that I should have been there, and he come looking for me. That's when he saw the ambulance loading me up. The guy that hit me, he flipped his car and total lost it. So we both went to the hospital, but he left the next morning. I was there for 2 weeks.
So you mentioned Robin, and so is Robin the person? Oh, can you actually explain who Robin is to you?
She is a physical therapist. I'm not sure totally what her title is, but she is a godsend. I mean, she's got, probably everybody in the group has been through Robin, and anybody that has anything to do with an amputation and learning to walk again, Robin will get you there. All you have to do is listen to her. She's not always easy on you, but she'll make sure she's not going to hurt you, but she'll push you. And that's what I needed. And most of the people there will tell you, they're walking because of Robin walking. Oh, I know, I'm not sure of her full title. I think she has a doctor in there somewhere. But so for the physical therapy goes, she's spot on.
And so did you notice any lifestyle adaptations you had to make after following your amputation?
Yes, quite a few really. Prior to the accident, I just bought the house that I live in. The main reason I bought it because it was all on one level. Mm-hmm. And the only steps I have at my back door, I think is maybe 5, 6 at the most. But so I can enter through the front, there's only one step. And also, I had my tub removed, and I just have a walk-in shower now. I have the handicap rails in there so that I have something to hold on to. But prior to that, that's probably the only thing. Mm-hmm. I was fortunate enough that it was my left leg and not my right, so I don't have a problem driving. I do still have to take quite a bit of medication that I wasn't taking before the accident. High blood pressure, and high triglycerides, and I still have a lot of pain. I'll still take some pain meds, and not to the extent I was before the surgery, during the surgery, but I do have to take pain meds.
Yeah, I know we were talking about the pain when we were coming up to the interview site, the pain you were feeling in your leg, and so can you kind of talk about that kind of pain and explain that a little bit too?
Well, when they did the amputation, they took the skin, they left a flap where they could fold it over the bone, and there's an incision that goes half the circumference of my leg. Well, all those nerves that were in your feet and leg and toes and ankles, they're all jumbled up in that area. So you still have the sensation of having your feet and legs, and your toe might itch, and your ankle may itch or ache. All those sensations are there, especially if you close your eyes. Sometimes you think you still have your leg. But the downside to it, those nerves were all scattered all over your body. I mean, all the lower body, leg and foot. Now they're like compressed to one area. And so when I'm walking, the cup to my prosthetic may put pressure on a spot that causes either a skin irritation, or it may just cause, you might feel like you twisted your ankle or something. It just depends. Sometimes when I step with the prosthetic, if I don't, I kind of have to calculate each step. I have to look down and make sure that I'm not stepping on anything the wrong way, because with the prosthetic, your foot doesn't roll like it. It goes like, if you step on something on the toe, it kicks it back. Or if you step on something over the heel and don't clear it, it kicks your knee forward. Same thing to the side. And lateral breaks are one of the biggest problems that amputees have, that wear prosthetic. As Laura had, she broke her leg really bad and had to have surgery and rods and all that because the cup fits in and there's nowhere for it, no give for it. Where your knee before, you could turn your foot and kind of adjust for it. When you have the prosthetic, you have to be very careful where you step, how you walk, the terrain and everything.
And so you mentioned you're still getting kind of used to using it, and you don't use crutches, do you?
No.
And so you've been getting used to.
I had a mental thing going that I promised myself. I got rid of my wheelchair. I don't want a walker. I have more fear of using a walker than I do anything because I just don't like them, and I don't feel safe or secure with them. But I do keep crutches just in case. And I have a cane that I use if I'm going to be out and have to a long way to go, and I'm gonna be standing all the time. But I try my best. This is me. I try to push myself to where I don't have to have it.
And so we're going to talk a little bit about the amputee support group, if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay. And so can you explain what the amputee support group is and what it does and how you're involved in it?
Well, for my involvement, I got made president. I didn't volunteer. I actually didn't want to be, because I'm kind of a quiet guy and I don't have a lot to say. But everybody insisted that I be it. And I guess because I deal with people well when I do talk to them. And the biggest thing that I found is it keeps your sanity. Just being around people that have the same, problems that you have. You got somebody that you can talk to, and you can relate. We can relate to each other. We always try to, when I'm out, we have brochures. I try to make sure I pass them out whenever I happen to see somebody. A lot of times I'll be in one car and the brochure's at home, and I don't always have it, but I give them my phone number and I try to encourage them to come to the meeting. I actually saw a young lady in a parts store. I was picking up something for one of my automobiles, and she approached me and asked me how it was, and I said, it's tough in the beginning. It's real tough, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. She said her father had lost his leg to diabetes, and it's like he wanted to give up. He didn't want to do anything. And I know some people that do give up. And the support group is there to keep you from giving up, let you know that, there is somebody that you can talk to, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We have a good time, we go out and eat, love to eat. And, we try to go out to have, adaptive golfing. We try to do a few things. We don't do a lot because, a lot of us aren't in shape to do it, but whatever you feel like doing, Even if you don't have the money, you can, we still take care of it. We get together. Anybody's invited, family members. It's a real good thing. I'm so glad that I found it.
And so have you noticed like a change in people once they join the group?
Yes, I've known some that were just, you didn't hear a word out of them when they come in, just sit and listen. And then we have some that come and never come back, but that's just part of it. It was a young lady I saw in the hall. She just happened to be walking by, and she was there at the meeting. She wasn't at the meeting. She was at the women's hospital with her family for something else, and I went out and talked to her and invited her in. She stayed at the meeting, but she never come back. But she was very adaptive. If you didn't notice, you wouldn't think she had an amputation, but she just happened to have shorts on, and I saw that she did. She walked very well. Some people do. Some days I do. Some days I don't. It's a day-to-day process.
And so what does the group mean to you? I know you mentioned it a little bit, but about how positive it's been for you, but is there more to the group that, do you think you could make any changes to it or anything like that?
Well, we're still evolving. You know, when I started, it was the communication was the biggest thing. Like I said, we are looking for a new location right now. It's kind of a problem right now, because mainly because of the parking and the distance from the area, the parking to the meeting room, because that's the problem we have, is our mobility. And it's a little hard when you have to, park and walk maybe an eighth of a mile. It's pretty difficult, and that in itself will keep a lot of people coming. So, like I said, we still working out the wrinkles, and we'll figure it out, trying to figure it out as we go.
And so beyond like the other kind of changes to like your lifestyle, have you noticed any changes with like healthcare policy or anything, even if it's just not you, like has someone in the group maybe experienced anything with healthcare policy?
Well, I'm not sure about other people. I recently just started I got approved for disability, and my Medicare starts in November.
Mm-hmm.
So I changed insurances. I went from one group to another. And so I'm still in the process of learning all of this. I mean, the healthcare industry has so many it's like they have their own language. If you don't know what's going on, you have to make the right decision. With that, I think we need somebody that can help explain it. As far as the support group goes, I haven't really talked a lot to a lot of people about their situation as far as the healthcare industry goes.
And so do you see a difference? So this is a question specifically for you because I know you're from Reidsville, or you live in Reidsville. And so have you noticed a difference between living in Reidsville and, having a disability versus being in Greensboro and having a disability?
People here tend to be a little more respectful. I pull up to a handicap spot. So I don't really like parking there, but that's what it's for, to make accessible, things more accessible to me. And a lot of people in Reidsville will park in a handicap spot. Not all of them, but a lot will park with no elements at all. I saw they pull there. She actually cut me off to get in the spot. So I said, well, she probably needs one. And she gets out with her kids and goes in, and I have to park way in a different area. Fortunately, it wasn't that big a deal, but it kind of irritated me because it could have been somebody that really much worse shape than I am that actually really needed that spot more than I do. And it would have been tough for them to park way on the far end and then have to go in and do the shopping. And by the time they get to the register, it may not have, just felt like it. But that's one particular thing that stuck out in my mind. It's another, they have more things, let's see, I don't know what to call them, programs here than they do in Reidsville. Reidsville's a small area, so Mike had this thing with the sheriff's department where all the EMS and the fire department, to let them know that you have a disability. So when, say, if EMS or fire comes in and you have an emergency at your house, that let them know what room you sleep in, just to give them a basic information so when they come in their house, they're not just looking all over the house. So, it's like a floor plan in your house, so they didn't know exactly where you were or supposed to be in the event of an emergency.
Have you noticed any other kind of programs like that?
Not directly. I'm not saying there's not any, but I'm just not aware of them.
And so our last question, this is a more reflective question. And so what would you want the younger generation of amputees to know about the experience?
Well, had I been younger when this happened to me, I'm sure that I would have adapted a lot easier. The biggest thing is not to give up, not to feel sorry for yourself, because that's the worst thing you can do is, just seem like there's no hope. And there is, you know, your life still goes on. You have to make different adjustments to get the same result, but you can. The biggest problem that I still see is that people look at you, and some people like to be looked at wild. But it doesn't, you know, in the beginning it bothered me, but now I hold my head up and keep going because, you know, I'm blessed to be alive. I got hit at 70 miles an hour and bounced and rolled and bounced, and I didn't know anything until almost 2 days later. I could have died, but I didn't. I'm here for a reason, so I'm not exactly certain what that reason is, but I try to be pleasant to everybody when I talk to them. I'm a little more outspoken than I used to be. There were times I wouldn't even done this interview. Not that there's anything wrong with it, I'm just a quiet person on it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for participating in our interview.